A scope of work document contains a narrative of system control expectations and functionality. Without this documentation, it is very difficult for a programmer to be expected to program the system as it was intended to operate. This is different than a touch panel button-by-button description, since those documents only convey user interface controls and not what happens when a room becomes occupied or a valid HDMI signal is received on a DX-Link transmitter. When a programmer has to make assumptions about certain aspects of the system, they could potentially waste hours programming something that doesn't work in the manner that the client was expecting. With clearly documented functionality, programming goals can be more easily met. One of the most difficult things to do, especially in larger projects, is to hit a moving target. With expectations clearly defined, the potential for numerous changes or additions is eliminated. Here's an example of a scope of work document. I can see right here that this client is extremely energy conscious, and the system is supposed to try opening the shades in the room first instead of turning the lights on in the room if it becomes occupied, but only if it's daytime and the weather forecast says it's sunny out. Otherwise, turn on the lights instead. There's no way this could possibly be conveyed in a button-by-button document, since none of these actions are invoked by pushing buttons. There's also no way a programmer could assume that the client would even want this in the first place. While it may seem tedious, creating a scope of work document is well worth the effort and can pay off many times over by drastically reducing the amount of time the programmer spends on rework of the code. So in order to program a system, you need to know what it's expected to do. Once you know that, now what? We'll look at some examples of what to do before you start writing your code in the next tutorial.